Hello from Iceland. The Icelandic horse has a remarkable history. It is not certain where exactly it came from, but it is a fact that the Vikings brought it to the island over 1,000 years ago. Where the Vikings first landed in Iceland is difficult to say. Maybe the shore they saw looked something like this, or this. Anyway, what they saw did not scare them away, thank God for that. The journey across the ocean must have been very dangerous, so we'll have to presume the Vikings did what they could to make it as safe and successful as possible. This means they must have taken their best horses with them, horses they knew they could rely on. This makes even more sense if you think of the law the Vikings soon passed after they settled in Iceland. The law they passed forbids any more horses to be brought to the island, and no horses that left could return. This they did to protect their horses from diseases. This law is still in force now over 1,000 years later. The Icelandic horse has therefore been in quarantine all these years and has now over 1,000 years of genetic purity. The breed has encountered hard conditions to survive all these years in Iceland. It has been molded by the nature and has developed skills to move easily over rough terrain, snow and ice. Today, the horse is carefully looked after. During the winter time, all good horse farmers feed their herd on delicious hay rolls. Breeding mares, young calves and fillies are most often kept outside all year long in good pastures or out in the widespread fields. In the summer and the fall, all horses are outside grazing freely. So Icelandic horses still have a lot of freedom, and that is one of the things that makes them so special. Now let's see how we in Iceland keep our horses. I'm sure you'll find that very interesting. Icelandic horsemanship is quite unique, and the society surrounding it is amazing. In almost every village and town in Iceland, you will find a horse club and a whole neighborhood of horse stables. There are over 48 clubs all around the land. The horse club we are at now is called Hörður. This club is in a town called Mosfellsbær and is in the Reykjavík area, and there are about 400 members in it. As you can see, there are many stables here, and they are located just within a walking distance from town. This is in a beautiful area. You have the mountain Esja on the north side and the coast on the west side. Due to the great interest in horses here in Iceland, we have many trails and we can easily ride from one horse club to the next. Horses are a popular family sport in Iceland. Often a family owns its own horse stable and goes there every day during the time the horses are stabled. Usually this is the time between December and June, but from June to December the horses are out free grazing in the pastures and need to be rounded up if people want to go out riding. So it can be a bit of a trouble. Strangely enough, Icelanders do most of the riding in the wintertime. I've been trying to imagine why. During the darkest wintertime, we have very little daylight and the weather is of course not as good as in the summer. So why do we do most of our riding during winter? I think I need to go into some research later and let you know what I can come up with. Maybe it's because the people here just like the company of each other and being in the company of the horse who made it possible for our ancestors to live here. Whatever the reason is, the life in these horse stable communities is wonderful and sure makes it easier to pass time during dark winter days. Now let's go into one of the horse stables and see what they look like. The stables vary in size. Most stables are for 6 to 10 horses, but some bigger. It's common for professional trainers to have stables that take 20 to 30 horses. Usually there are 2 horses in each stall, sometimes only 1. Icelandic horses get along very well and like to be with each other. The stables are warm, so when the weather is cold and the horses sweat, they come into the warm stables to dry off. Now there is no good stable that does not have an accommodation to have some coffee and get down to the daily discussions that are a great part of the horsemanship. As you can see here, there are some lively discussions going on. After a good ride, there is nothing as nice than to have a good cup of coffee and brag about how good your horse was and how crappy your friends was. All stables have their private pens, or a pen where the horses can go out and get some fresh air, play and roll. Yes, horses sure like rolling. It is very good to let the horses go out for a while before and after they are ridden. They sure appreciate that. The horses are put outside every day regardless of weather to get some exercise. Now today is a special day because some of the club members are getting ready to go to Lake Meðafellsvatn, where we are going to have a competition on ice. On the frozen lake, riders will compete on their horses to see who owns the best töltir. The reason the Icelandic horse can perform so well on the slippery ice is because it has the wonderful gait we call tölt. Now let's take a look at what tölt is. The Icelandic horse is a gaited horse with 4 or 5 gaits, but always with tölt. We all know the walk, trot and canter. The 2 other gaits Icelandic have are tölt and the flying pace. The 4-gaited Icelandic is missing the flying pace. Tölt, like the walk, is a 4-beat gait and the feet move in the same order as in the walk. The difference between the walk and tölt lies in the phases of the gait. In other words, how many and which of the horse's feet are on the ground at a given time. The fact that the horses always have at least 1 foot on the ground makes the tölt so super smooth. The tölt is therefore a gait without suspension. You can see how the horse moves freely and proudly, and the rider just sits comfortable, like you, watching the TV in your leather sofa. Now it's time for us to head up to Lake Meðafellsvatn. It is sure a beautiful place to go riding here at the lake, but it's hard to see how a competition on horses can take place here unless we have a miracle. Now this is much better. A bit too much of snow, but the farmers will take care of that. As I said before, we don't have much daylight at this time of year, so the light right now is not good for filming, but we will have to make do, and we will. Lake Meðafellsvatn is about 30 miles north of Reykjavík, the capital of Iceland, in a countryside called Kjós, but Kjós means in the shelter of mountains. The lake is famous for salmon and trout fishing during the summer, but riding during winter. The farmers have been busy moving the snow to make tracks on the ice. We measured the thickness of the ice, and it's from 8 to 12 inches thick. It may not seem much, but it's quite enough to keep us and the horses from sinking 60 feet to the bottom of the lake. The track for the competition is about 400 feet long, but the farmers have made tracks all over the lake so riders can go for a real trail ride. Now here's a great way to show you how smooth the tölt is. See the farmer riding with his grandson. They hardly moved. During the winter, all horses here have what we call winter shoes. And these are the same shoes as we use for riding on ice. Here we have a regular shoe with 2 small spikes. Each spike is just less than half an inch long, but this is all it takes for a horse to be quite comfortable on the ice. There is something very special about riding on ice. It's different from any other riding. The movement of the horse changes somehow to become more and higher. It is almost like the horses themselves are having a great time. Well, at least we like to think so. Now the competition is about to start. This time we have 2 qualified judges judging. What they will be looking for is the quality of the tuft. The beat or the rhythm in the gait must be correct. What they want to see and hear is the correct beat of the tuft going like tick 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 or 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. They're looking for the 4 beats in the tuft, but also they're looking to see good leg action and good form under the saddle. Tuft is not tough unless the horse is in good form and smooth. The riders need to perform both slow and fast tuft. The competition has started. The women are off. Women tend to be far more competitive than men, so we all know it's going to be bound to be steel to steel now. In the end, the winner is no other than my wife. Now that's a surprise. After the women's group, the men are ready to start. I don't know why, but often the men do not have as good horses as the women do. Maybe it's because they are all such good husbands. We give our wives the best horses. In the end, the winner is none other than the chairman of the horse club. At last, we have the professional riders. After a hard-fought competition, the winner is none other than the chairman's wife. Now this is really getting suspicious, but look at that, her horse can surely move. It's been a great day at the lake. The winner in the women's group has done his fair share of work for the day and is happy to be home again. It's only February and the horses are far from being in good condition after only about 1 month of training this winter. We would have liked to show you more. And, of course, the great flying pace. Something like this. But this will have to wait until next time.